Thank you very much, Les Concola. And first of all, I want to say to Minister McGrath that anything that I have to say about the government or about the plan is no way personal to himself or to the other minister there. It's because this is I'm glad to get the opportunity to talk on this 2040 plan, as it's a very serious matter and is going to affect many people in rural Ireland. And I suppose I will say that it is a lap to think that we're considering a plan for 20 years when this government don't actually know what's going to happen in 4 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, or I believe they don't really know what's going to happen next week, because that's how they appear to the people, with contradicting stories from one minister and another minister, and from one professor in Nevitt to another professor in Nevitt. They all have a different story, and it's hard for the people of rural Ireland to believe, or in any part of Ireland, to believe what's being said over the airwaves now. The plan is going to hurt people in rural Ireland in a very negative way, and it was brought in by Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil back 2 or 3 years ago, and now it has been continued by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and the Greens. And this is all about boosting 5 cities to the detriment of rural places, rural Ireland, rural towns and villages, and self-employed people and business people, farmers, housewives. Everyone that will have to pay carbon tax and is paying carbon tax is going to be affected more and more so. He wants to stop us cutting turf. He wants to stop us eating meat. He wants to close more of the rural pubs. He wants to close more post offices. He letting the banks walk out of the towns, even though that he have a share in the banks, and that's what's happening. He have the churches closed to the extent that they needn't be closed, and we all know that. He wants to stop planning in rural areas, and he's telling people that they should and could work from home. But many of them don't have a home, and they would have a home if they could get planning permission, but they can't. And the planning regulator is told now to direct people to the 5 cities. That's what we read in the 2040 plan. This government is hell-bent on following the Green Party line so as to stay in power. It doesn't matter, it seems, if you're hurting the people in that way then. The grand people of rural Ireland, they have been blackguarded, they are being blackguarded, and if this plan is implemented, it will hurt them more. This plan will hurt them like they were never hurt before. The government continues with spin. We saw what they did this week with this massive rural plan for towns. There's no penny of money for any project. There's no. The money is there, we're told, and Minister Humphreys put up a very good show in the television and the news and whatever. But she, no matter how she was pressed, there was no penny of money for any project. And she still got away with it. And then we had the chief whip, the government chief whip, come in here this morning. He orchestrated a spin of praise on Tánaiste Leo, and took up the most of the slot for honouring members around the country, with 7 or 8 Fine Gael deputies praising Leo all morning. They're good at blathering, and they're good at boasting, and they're good at spin, but they are hurting the people, I can tell you that. And you see, as I understand it, Minister Ryan seems to think that he is responsible for the environment, and that he is environment. But I'll say to you, ministers, there's more to the environment than these carbon emissions. There's sewage treatment plants needed in several parts of our county. In fact, I'll name out a few of them. Scotland, Kilcommon has been waiting for 20 years. Cora has no treatment plant. Brosna, Beaufort, and you see you can get planning permission in these towns, but you'll be told you'll get the planning permission, but you'll have to wait till you're connected to the public, to a public treatment plant. Castle Island, I found documents above in the shed the other night where my father was making representations for an extension to the sewer in Castle Island where they're all connected to septic tanks 40 years ago. 40 years ago, Minister, and I found the documents above in the old shed in a box of his, and that's the God's gospel truth. And places like Brosna, a man looked for permission for 4 houses. He was cut down to 2 because he was knocking 2 old houses. He got the permission based on the 2, but he won't get the other 2 till the treatment plant is brought up to scratch. And they knew Kinmare. A developer applied for permission for 55 houses. And the planning regulator came back and said that he hadn't enough density, that he'd have to add 30% more, which was 20 more houses. And when he did that and got that, the Kerry County Council told him that he couldn't build the houses at all until the Kinmare treatment plant was upgraded. So then we're at a county development plan now in Kerry, and the regulator has us told we can zone more land in Killarney, but we must keep the same acreage of land all over the Killarney municipal area. So we'll have to cut down places like Guinevere, we'll have to cut down places like Rathmore, and it'll be the same in Tralee and North Kerry. You can expand Tralee, but the people out the country can't get planning permission. And they know the young fella and the people that they're not able to get on a county council housing list or a local authority housing list. They want to build a house for themselves. And tis atrociously hard to get permission, but we believe because of this 2040 plan that will be way worse, and that will be way harder to get permission in rural areas. In other words, if you're zoning more land in one place, you'll have to dezone it in the other place. That's totally unfair, because I don't know who this planning regulator is. I don't know where he's from. Or I don't believe that he knows any part of Kerry. All he's going by figures, and he doesn't understand the reality of the crux and the things that the people have to contend with there. Farmers are told, they're being told more or less now, dairy farmers, that they'll have to cut down their numbers. And your companion in Cork Central or South Central or wherever it is, Simon Coveney in 2013 told the farmers that they'd have to increase dairying and that milk was the new gold, and that it was the new white gold, and that the Chinese were going to drink more milk. And now he's telling us, and the government is telling us, we must cut down and reduce the number of cows in our yards. And it's the same with the suckler herd. After fellas breaking their backs to put up the numbers to try to live, and they were told by Tagus and they were told by the farming organisations to build up their herds. And now they're being told, like, switch off the light, switch out the light there, reduce your numbers, because and at the same time, the scientist who gave the figures for the methane gas 15 years ago and said that the farmers were destroying the environment, he's after admitting now that he was 70% wrong. That very same scientist. And this is what's been done to poor farmers that get up in the morning, they're working the 7 days of the week, and there's 365 days of the year. And these fellas are being thrown around like this, Minister. And you have to understand that they're being wronged. Every man and woman that will be going on the road, from here on, he'll have to pay more carbon tax. Whether there's the young fellow with the slats in his nose going to work at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, or whether it is the housewife taking the children to school, whether it is the employer employing people or the business people with vans on the road, they're all going to suffer because of the carbon tax, and all because the government wants to stay in power and they want to keep following what Eamon Ryan is telling us to do. And he told us back in 2007 to buy diesel cars, and that they were the answer. And sure, yes, they are a durable car and they are economic and they are everything to people, but you know what does he want us to do? Get electric cars that have no durability and are not as carbon friendly as he's saying they are, because he's being torn apart on that issue. The electric cars are not reliable, they're not durable, and they wouldn't carry you as far as Killarney for the wiper and the radio and the lights turned on at the one time, because they're all drying out of the battery, and you'll be stuck with your thumb up and out on the side of the road asking for some political lift.
Deputy Healy-Rae, I'd love to listen to you for a while longer, but I'm afraid your time is up.